What is up guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Toman and today's analysis video is going to be about the Champions League final between Chelsea and Manchester City. So Chelsea as usual lined up in the normal 3-4-3 formation, which mostly changed to 5-3-2 on the ground, with Mason Mount dropping in the midfield without the ball. While Manchester City on the other hand lined up in a 4-3-3 formation, but their formation on the ground was mostly 3-5. With Zinchenko dropping in the midfield alongside Gundogan, while Bernardo Silva and Foden were joining the front line. So today's video is sponsored by OneFoot. OneFootball is an app where you can find all the latest transfer news and stats about teams and players. So please don't forget to download the app. I'll put the link in the description. So Man City started the game in their usual aggressive high-pressing style of football, as they tried to force Chelsea into making mistakes by implementing a man-oriented high press. Aggressively trying to close down the Chelsea players and forcing them into making quick decisions. Man City mostly tried to press Chelsea in a 4-1-3-2 formation, and despite Man City's high press, Chelsea did not change their style of play, and they kept building their play from the back, as this was the whole plan of Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel was happy with Manchester City pushing their players up to press Chelsea. So this is how the two teams were lined up on the ground whenever Chelsea tried to build their play from the back. The front three of Manchester City were trying to press the three Chelsea centre-backs, with Bernardo Silva and Foden covering the double pivot of Chelsea. Gundogan was playing in between the lines to try and provide defensive protection to his defense. One of the Man City fullbacks was given the license to move up depending upon the side of Chelsea's build-up, while the other fullback would make a back three to try and cover the front three of Chelsea. Front three on the three Chelsea centre-backs, with Foden and Bernardo Silva covering N'Golo Kante and Jorginho. Gundogan is playing in between the lines, and since Chelsea are trying to build the play from the right side, so the left back of Manchester City steps out to cover Reece James, while Kyle Walker moves in the defense to make a 3v3 position at the back. Zinchenko steps out to cover Reece James, and Kyle Walker immediately moves in the defense to make a back three to keep a 3v3 position at the back. And this is where the front three of Chelsea came into play. Since Chelsea had a 3v3 position at the back, with Ben Chilwell totally free on the left wing, so Kai Havertz often dropped deep and he tried to drag Ruben Dias out of his line to open the space in the defense for the ones of Timo Werner. And as soon as Timo Werner received the ball, Mason Mount would make a central run to force Kyle Walker narrow, and helping Ben Chilwell to get free on the left side. And that often left Kyle Walker in a 1v2 position against Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell. Zinchenko steps out to cover Reece James, Kai Havertz drops deep, and he drags Ruben Dias out of his line to open the space in the defense for the one of Timo Werner. Timo Werner receives the ball from Azpilicueta. Mason Mount is forcing Kyle Walker narrow, and Ben Chilwell is now totally free to join the attack from the left side. And this was the pattern of play during the first half. Kai Havertz dropping deep and forcing Ruben Dias out of his defense to open the space for Timo Werner, with Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell trying to isolate Kyle Walker in a 1v2 position. Again, front three on the three Chelsea centre-backs, Bernardo Silva and Foden are trying to cover Jorginho and N'Golo Kante. Zinchenko once again steps out to press Reece James, while Kyle Walker moves in the defense to make a back three against the front three of Chelsea. And Ben Chilwell is once again totally free on the left side. Kai Havertz once again dropping deep, forcing Ruben Dias out of his line and opening the space in the defense for the one of Timo Werner. With just one or two passes, Chelsea were able to get into Manchester City's defensive third. Chelsea with the ball often tried to keep a 3-2-1-4 formation, with the wingbacks pushing up and Mason Mount just behind the front two, as he tries to find small pockets of space in between the lines. Mason Mount drops in the space in between the lines, and he is totally free to receive the ball from Edouard Mendy, as Gundogan was dragged out of his position. Since Mason Mount was totally free to receive the ball in the open space, so Kyle Walker leaves his line to cover Mason Mount, and that leaves Ben Chilwell totally free to receive the ball from Mendy. And now Kyle Walker is left in a 1v2 position thanks to the deeper position of Mason Mount. And now John Stones steps out to provide defensive cover to Kyle Walker. Timo Werner could see John Stones stepping out, so Timo Werner makes a run to the wide area to force Ruben Dias away from Kai Havertz and to open the passing lane for Mason Mount to pick Kai Havertz. Timo Werner takes away Ruben Dias, and that opens the passing lane for Mason Mount to play the ball to Kai Havertz. Just 3 passes, Mendy to Ben Chilwell to Mason Mount, and Mason Mount to Kai Havertz, and Chelsea scored the goal. Chelsea tried to widen the playing area by keeping their wingbacks high and wide. This actually allows Chelsea to create spaces in the central areas, just like Guardiola explained in one of his recent interviews before the Champions League final.
A lot of players. Why Chelsea plays so good? Because they have 3 central defender closers, the 2 holding midfielder, related move closers, the pockets closers. They have a structure of 5 and 2 players so close, and the distances are so close. And at the same time, they are so wide with the wingbacks. They are so deep with the Werner Muckers in behind. That's why you cannot be close, because they push you here, and a lot of good players in the middle.
Even though Guardiola perfectly knew Chelsea's playing style, but knowing the opponent is one thing, and actually stopping them is another thing. Pep Guardiola, on the other hand, tried to create a diamond in the midfield, as the plan was to create an overload in the midfield to force the Chelsea centre-backs to step out of their defence to help their midfielders against the Man City overload. Manchester City decided to keep Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez high and wide to keep the Chelsea wingbacks busy. Bernardo Silva and Foden were occupying the half spaces, while Zinchenko was playing as the inverted fullback, and he often dropped in the midfield and played alongside Gundogan. Kevin De Bruyne was a false 9, who at times also dropped in the midfield to help Manchester City with the midfield overload. Here we can see the complete picture of Manchester City's formation with the ball. Back 3 with Zinchenko dropping in the midfield to create an overload, while the 2 wingers are keeping their width. Man City's plan was very simple. Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden were occupying the central spaces, while Zinchenko and Bernardo Silva were occupying the half spaces. Zinchenko and Bernardo Silva were constantly trying to force Rudiger and Azpilicueta out of their line to create the space in the defense for the runs of De Bruyne and Foden. Azpilicueta steps out to cover Zinchenko and to help his midfielders against the overload. Raheem Sterling is keeping Reece James wide, and that opens a space in the defense for the run of Kevin De Bruyne. But this is where we saw the major difference between the two teams. Unlike the Chelsea centre-backs, who were so good at playing these long passes behind the Man City line, Man City centre-backs hardly ever tried to pick their front players with these long passes. And the fact that Man City were playing with a false 9 also made it quite easy for Chelsea to defend, as Kevin De Bruyne, who is not a proper number 9, often dropped in the midfield, and he could not exploit the spaces whenever Rudiger and Azpilicueta stepped out to cover Bernardo Silva and Zinchenko. Bernardo Silva is forcing Rudiger out of his line to open the space in the defense, and this is where Manchester City needed a proper number 9, who could occupy the central space and make runs into those small channels. But Kevin De Bruyne often dropped in the midfield, and thus Chelsea were too comfortable when it came to defending those open spaces. This is the first time since 2011 that Pep Guardiola has lost a final. During this time, Pep Guardiola played 10 finals and he won them all. And this was the first time since 2011 that Guardiola has failed to win a final. Thomas Tuchel, on the other hand, has now won 3 back-to-back games against Pep Guardiola. And Chelsea are now officially the champions of Europe. Congratulations to all the Chelsea fans on winning the second Champions League trophy. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.